ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
We intend to make sure that we're as rigorous as possible in enforcing the COVID guidelines because we don't want anyone to get sick, period.
Local Catholic parishes get ready to hold Mass inside tomorrow. The rules they plan to follow to keep parishioners safe. But first, after 5 years, a $30 million budget shortfall and evidence of financial fraud, the Sweetwater Union High School District Superintendent is out. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. The school board voted to terminate Dr. Karen Janney's employment Monday night. As our ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo shows us, those who work closely with the district say this termination won't solve their ongoing financial troubles.
The district's problems, financial primarily, we're under her watch.
After more than 5 years as Sweetwater Superintendent, Dr. Karen Janney is out. The district spokesperson confirming in a statement that the Board of Trustees provided Dr. Janney a 90-day notice to end her employment agreement.
It's not going to make the problems go away by firing the superintendent.
Nick Marinovich was the chair of Sweetwater's Bond Oversight Committee for 8 years. He says he knew there was trouble.
Over time, the district began to ignore our request for information and really to deal with the issues that we'd identified.
He says he knew there was trouble years ago, bringing his concerns to the board's attention. The district's latest troubles began in 2018 when they self-reported a $30 million budget shortfall. Since then, teachers were laid off, bus routes cut, and class sizes increased. In June, a state audit found there was significant evidence of fraud and misappropriation of funds.
And they blew us off the last 2 years I was on the committee. We were asking a lot of questions and they didn't want to hear about it.
ABC 10 News obtained Dr. Janney's employment contracts. In 2015, she started at the district making $235,000 a year. In 2017, her contract was amended and her annual salary increased to nearly $255,000. Per her contract, Dr. Janney will receive her salary for 90 days since being notified of termination. That adds up to roughly $63,000. Marinovich doesn't think the superintendent's termination will be the end of Sweetwater's problems.
There are 5 trustees that make the ultimate decisions, and everybody involved in these critical decisions need to take responsibility and be held accountable for what they do.
Laura Acevedo, ABC 10 News.
The Securities and Exchange Commission is still investigating the district but declined to comment today. The DA's office is also still reviewing the state audit findings.
Tomorrow, San Diego County Catholics will be welcomed back inside churches. The San Diego Catholic Diocese announced indoor masses will resume. ABC 10 News reporter Anthony Pura has more on the changes parishioners will notice.
The Catholic Diocese of San Diego will welcome back people indoors for Mass starting Wednesday, weeks after the pandemic forced houses of worship to stop services indoors.
We don't intend Mass to be or church to be a dangerous place. We intend to make sure that we're as rigorous as possible in enforcing the COVID guidelines because we don't want anyone to get sick, period.
Kevin Ackeries with the Catholic Diocese of San Diego. He says there will be a limit of 100 people inside churches and social distancing will be observed. Everyone is expected to wear a face covering and the communion will be offered only hand to hand. This is video of a Mass before the pandemic. When Masses resume, it will look much different. The diocese says rules will be similar to the indoor Masses in May and June before a spike in COVID-19 cases initiated a second wave of indoor closures. Masses have been streamed online and held outdoors during the pandemic. Those will still continue, but Eckery says allowing people back indoors is very important.
The whole notion of being, indoors at the tabernacle with the altar in front of you and being in God's house is important. And I think that we all want to get back to that.
Anthony Pura, ABC 10 News.
And here are the latest coronavirus numbers. The county is reporting another 267 cases today, bringing our total to 38,800. There were also 6 new deaths, bringing that total to 688. Teachers all across the South Bay want a say in how and when schools will safely reopen in person. The region has the most COVID-19 cases in the county. Teachers are asking for a scientifically supported plan before they're sent back to school. They also want to make sure there's enough PPE for students and staff and that teachers will not have to pay for it.
There's no scenario right now of reopening schools that's not going to need additional funding. We're funded to do the things that we've done in the past. We're not funded to do distance learning.
The teachers are also pushing for the passage of Prop 15, which would bring in over $50 million to South County districts. There is currently no timetable for reopening schools in the South Bay.
Some private schools welcome students back in person today for the first time since March. We toured the Academy of Our Lady of Peace in Normal Heights. Students at the all-girls Catholic school must wear masks at all times and get temperature checks before stepping onto campus. They sit at desks behind plexiglass, and with every step they take, there are reminders to stay 6 feet apart. Teachers can also opt to move their class to one of the outdoor spaces at any time.
And for us, it was really taking to heart the words from the American Academy of Pediatrics that said it's about layer upon layer of safety.
About 15% of the school's 700 students decided to continue virtual learning from home.
The San Diego Sheriff's Department has released hundreds of documents regarding a former deputy who pleaded guilty to assaulting several women. Richard Fisher had been serving a 3-year prison sentence since December, but was released early in May because of the pandemic. Our Team 10 investigators are now sifting through hundreds of pages of documents and audio files, and we'll have a complete report on ABC 10 News tomorrow. CHP officers are also looking for the driver involved in a fiery wreck off the 805 tonight. That crash happened just before 10 near National City. Witnesses say the driver was swerving between traffic before crashing down an embankment. They say the driver then ran off. Our 10 News breaking news tracker, as you can see, was there as firefighters moved in quickly to put out those flames. They say that no one else was found in the car.
President Trump visited Kenosha, Wisconsin today. He met with law enforcement and business owners hurt during recent unrest. But as ABC's Alex Prochet reports, he did not meet with the family of Jacob Blake.
President Trump in Kenosha, Wisconsin today, in spite of state and local leaders asking him to postpone the visit, fearing tensions were still too high. He toured a building destroyed in protest after the police shooting of Jacob Blake.
We have to condemn the dangerous anti-police rhetoric. It's getting more and more. It's very unfair. You have some bad apples, we all know that, and those will be taken care of through the system. And nobody's going to be easy on them either. And you have people that joke.
Repeating his suggestion that Rustin Sheshki, the police officer who shot Blake 7 times in the back, choked, comparing him to a golfer missing a putt. Just blocks away from the president's event, Jacob Blake's family hosted a day of community service at the site of his shooting.
All I ask is that he keep his disrespect, his foul language far away from our family.
Holding a community cleanup, hosting a barbecue and voter registration drive, calling on the community to remain calm despite the president's visit. The Wisconsin Department of Justice investigation into Blake's shooting continues. And the 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse, who's accused of killing 2 demonstrators and wounding a 3rd last week, remains in custody. Ahead of his visit, the president defended Rittenhouse.
I guess he was in very big trouble. He probably would have been killed.
The president condemned the fatal shooting in Portland of a man wearing a Blue Lives Matter flag and reportedly a hat that belonged to a right-wing group. And when pressed about the demonstrations against racial injustice sweeping the nation, he painted most protesters as agitators.
Do you believe systemic racism is a problem in this country?
Well, you just keep getting back to the opposite subject. We should talk about the kind of violence that we've seen in Portland and here and other places. It's tremendous violence.
The Blake family did not meet with the president, but have spoken at length with Joe Biden and say they would make themselves available if the Democratic nominee travels to Kenosha. Alex Prochet, ABC News, Washington.
The county administration building is lit up in teal tonight as National Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month gets underway. The Clarity Foundation partnered with the county for this lighting. It's a national nonprofit based here in San Diego dedicated to providing free support to women with ovarian cancer and their caregivers.